Start planning your 2025 travel with a getaway to Salishan Coastal Lodge, where wellness, adventure, and sustainability meet on the Oregon coast. It's the perfect place to reconnect with yourself, loved ones, and nature, all while enjoying 20% off stays with code CITYCAST. Make 2025 a year of intentional restorative travel. Book your stay at salishan.com with code CITYCAST to save 20% and start the year with purpose and connection. If you're looking for a way to embrace the winter by picking up a low-impact winter sport, then cross-country skiing might be for you. It's serene, challenging, and extremely rewarding. And in addition to getting to experience one of the most beautiful parts of the country during one of its most magical seasons, it's also a pretty great workout. So today on CityCast Portland, Rebecca Jacobson of Portland Monthly is here to help first-timers navigate getting out on the trails and gliding on the snow. It's Tuesday, December 17th. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. Immediately, what's your pitch on what's great about cross-country skiing?
I mean, I have so much to say about what's great about cross-country skiing, but I think a headline piece of the answer is that it is so much cheaper than so many other winter sports and way less scary than a lot of other winter sports. You know, you look at downhill skiing, the cost of a lift ticket. For something like cross-country skiing, you're looking at, maybe $30 to rent skis for the weekend and whatever other fees, still way less than the cost of a lift ticket at a place like Timberline or Meadows. It's also physically more accessible, and just the biggest risk that you take going cross-country skiing is just the risk of embarrassing yourself when you fall, because you will almost certainly fall. I've been skiing for, consistently for about 5 years now, and I fall regularly. And you fall, and then sometimes it's hard to get up, and you're laughing and your friends are laughing, but you're laughing. You're outside in the snow. There's just the joy of being out there. Winter is a tough season for me, and cross-country skiing is this thing that helps me get through the darkness.
Yeah, I wanted to add to what you just said, because I've been cross-country skiing once.
Okay.
And it was a graduation of sorts for me, because normally I snowshoe. Mm-hmm. And it felt like snowshoeing, but a little bit more fun because you're going faster.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really just feel like, after a while when you're snowshoeing, you're like, climp a clump, climp a clump. You know what I mean? And I do want to also just say that we fell all the time. Like, I actually went with John and Julie, our producers, and nobody cares. If anything, there's all these little mounds for you to fall into. Like,
exactly.
Exactly. Like, I would literally yell like, "Coming through!" People would just like, "Whoa, who are you?" And it was a thing. Like, you saw everybody fall. It wasn't at all like people are laughing. Like, but that's what people do. They go to the mountain and they fall.
Right. Right. Make that snow your crash pad. Yeah, absolutely. It definitely, compared to snowshoeing, you do get that glide going. So it's faster and it's quieter too.
Yeah. The difference between downhill skiing, cross-country skiing is also a little bit more flat. So people who are like, I think, especially if you don't grow up skiing, you just hear skiing and you're still thinking like, I don't want to go down a hill.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you're not. It's like a pleasant hike.
Yeah. And there are still, there are no ski lifts. There are still some hills, and you're going up them with your own steam, and that can be a workout. But you also get to drop down some descents, and it can really be as athletic or as leisurely as you want it to be. Like, cross-country skiing can be super physically demanding. Olympic cross-country skiers, famous for collapsing at the finish line. But you can also just go on a really leisurely shuffle in the snow. And I think both of those types of skiing absolutely have their place.
Do you know that's whenever I think of cross-country skiing, I know it's like there's so many different types in the Olympics, but I always think of the one with like the shotgun in the back.
Biathlon.
They're just like, after I cross-country ski, I shoot some shit. And I'm just like, damn, like that's just like, out there.
Fun biathlon fact. I competed in a citizens biathlon, it's called, in Montana. Yep. I was last.
So you shot things?
I shot things, and I was in last place.
Okay.
And on my second to last lap, I stopped at the snack station, which I think was for where we were supposed to go afterwards, just because I needed some fuel to keep going. But yeah, a few friends and I had signed up for a biathlon in Montana, and there were volunteers in the shooting range. We did not have to bring our own rifles.
I was about to say, I was like, did you have to buy a rifle for this?
No.
Okay. Well, speaking of rifles that you don't need to go cross-country skiing, what kind of gear do you think for the first timer who's like, hey, I want to go cross-country skiing, what else do I need,
Yeah. Well, you need your skis. Of course, these are different than your downhill skis. They're long and skinny and flexible. And your skis come with bindings, which are specific to your boots. So you need to make sure that those all match. If you're renting, the rental shop will set you up. So your poles, these also are longer than downhill ski poles. Beyond that, remember that this is an aerobic activity. So I think the number one mistake that people make when going cross-country skiing for the first time is overdressing, wearing their, knee-length winter parka. That's not what you want. Lightweight layers. It's okay to start out a little chilly. I love wearing a vest to keep my core warm. I'm also partial to a headband over a beanie, so my head doesn't get too hot. Beyond that, sunglasses and sunscreen because there's glare from the snow. A big backpack will really throw you off balance. So if you want to carry some stuff, definitely a small backpack, or I love a little fanny pack, water, snacks, maybe a thermos of hot cocoa or your other, warm beverage of choice. Some moleskin or tape if you start to feel hot spots, because blisters are no fun when it comes to cross-country skiing. And that's about all you need.
And I'm assuming also, if you're a first-timer, don't go out there and just buy skis for your first time skiing.
No.
You're going to go rent. So let's talk about, where would you send someone where you're just they're going to take care of you? Where's a good place in Portland to go renting?
Yeah, my number one recommendation for rentals is the Mountain Shop on Northeast Sandy. They have the city's largest fleet of rental equipment. It's $30 for 2 nights for the skis, the boots, the poles.
Wow.
And they have a variety of different types of skis. So depending on what kind of conditions you're going to be in, they can really guide you. Call in advance or make a reservation online just to make sure they have what you need. That's my number one recommendation. Next Adventure also rents, and they have a location in Sandy too. So if you're headed to Mount Hood, that's an option if you want to pick up gear on your way out of town.
Yeah, I love that. The picking up the gear on the way. It's nice. Okay, so we have our skis, we have our layered clothing. What about okay, I know you don't need any kind of passes to get on the mountain, but what else do you need for parking, permits? What should you buy before you head out?
Totally. So yes, you're right. You don't need a lift ticket, but you generally, most places you're going will need a snow park permit. So these are parking areas in Oregon. Also, Washington has them too. Parking at winter recreation areas. And that's something you definitely want to arrange before you leave town. There's not going to be a kiosk at these parking areas. You might not have cell service to buy your pass. You're going to need a different permit depending on whether you're in Oregon or Washington, but you can get these as an annual pass or as daily. And then Oregon also has a 3 consecutive day pass.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, if you had to put a number on how much an outing would cost, throwing in rental, maybe a pass, how much, I don't know, what do you think?
Ooh, you're looking at $30 for a weekend rental. An Oregon snow park permit, you can buy a 3-day permit for $9. And then at some places, you will be looking at some kind of trail fee. So a day pass at Teacup Lake, which is a main ski area near Mount Hood, is $25, or you can buy an annual pass too. That's something that at Teacup, they collect this on the honor system. But these fees, go towards grooming and maintenance. So definitely not something that you want to evade.
I'm curious if John paid it. I don't know. Because when I went, I'm I didn't see any money exchanged. That's all I will say, Rebecca.
I think there's a QR code or something. I think there's service.
Okay. I just want you to know that John, our executive producer, is like going off on the chat, all exclamation points, like, I paid online. So he's not a crumb bum, everybody.
But yeah, I mean, you can get in a day of cross country skiing for $50 or $60.
Nice. Okay.
So that's less than a lift ticket.
Oh, yes. Lift tickets are a lot of money.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay. Before we go, I just want to know, like, what is like maybe your 60-second lesson on technique, on how you should, get on the skis and stay on the skis? Because I remember putting them on was a little awkward because like they're so long.
They are very long.
And you're just like, wait, what is happening?
Yeah. Well, it is a little weird. You clip into them and it's slippery. You're on the snow. It's also, I think that if people are accustomed to downhill skiing, your heels aren't locked in. Your heels are free. I mean, I think the first thing you should do is just kind of shuffle along, like just get yourself sort of moving. And then if once you're shuffling, there's a technique that's called kick and glide. I don't know if this language is really the best, but this is what most people call it. So essentially you're pushing your body weight onto one of your feet, and then that's propelling you forward. And so it's this, I think it's more of a push and glide is maybe how I would think of it. And then your arms are moving opposite, just as if you're running, and you're using your poles, to help you stay balanced, but also to provide you some propulsion. So, like you'll really feel it in your triceps after a while when you're cross-country skiing. And the other thing I would say is it's easy to clench up, and you definitely want to be engaging your core for that balance. But if you're holding yourself too stiff, you're really likely to tip over. But if you're just shuffling along, like I think that's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, I would also suggest to always keep an eye out on a nice place to fall.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not joking. Like, no. I'm always just like, okay, if I had to fall, though, like, where would I fall?
Yeah, I get nervous about going too fast, and I will sometimes like just sit myself back into the snow, like take a controlled fall rather than risk wiping out or crashing into somebody else.
All right, well, let's take a quick break here, and when we return, the best places to go cross-country skiing in our area. Experience art, nature, and science like you've never seen before at Exquisite Creatures Revealed, the newest exhibit from artist Christopher Marley, on view now at the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry. Exquisite Creatures Revealed features over 10,000 rare birds, reptiles, insects, and other real specimens from around the world in stunning detail, including the first preserved giant corpse flower, which only blooms every 5 to 10 years. And I wonder if it smells, because, it's called the corpse flower for a reason. Visitors of all ages will be awed by the plants, insects, and animals in the exhibit, all of which have been collected or reclaimed by the artist through sustainable means. And just in time for the gift-giving season, you can save on an OMSI membership for you or a loved one, 15% off now through January 5th. Head to omsi.edu. That's omsi.edu. Hey there, listeners. Imagine giving a child the gift of wonder and possibility, one book at a time. United Way of the Columbia Willamette has joined forces with the Dolly Parton's Imagination Library to spark a lifelong love of reading for kids right here in our community. And here's how you can help. For just $30, you can cover a year of books for one child. That's 12 opportunities for a family to bond, dream, and learn together. Or you can go big with $150 and support a child from birth to age 5. An entire early education journey made richer by your generosity. Your donation does more than deliver books. It builds brighter futures. Make a difference that lasts a lifetime. Visit UnitedWayPDX.org to make your donation today. Okay, now that we kind of know what we're doing, where we're renting, all that, let's talk about some different areas to go cross-country skiing, from the closest in to the furthest out. So where's the closest place that someone could go and partake?
Yeah. Well, no surprise, Mount Hood
Mhm.
is a top destination for Portland cross-country skiers. It's about 90 minutes away. Teacup Lake is really the center of the Portland Nordic community. Bustling trail network, about 24 kilometers of trails. Cross-country skiers measure things in kilometers. It's a thing they do. But, you've got all types of people and a really like crowd-pleasing mix of trails. Long, flat stretches, long climbs, some fun little drops. And they've got a really bustling, heated day use cabin, where you can go meet some friends, and they have clinics and classes and races. And it's all regularly groomed. It's mostly volunteer run. If somebody in Portland tells you they're going cross country skiing, they're probably going to Teacup Lake. And you've got your big Mount Hood views. That's where you went, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I loved it. But like, that's where I want to go back. The lodge that you said, or the,
Yeah, the day use cabin.
The day use cabin was so useful because we did bring backpacks, but we obviously are not going to bring them with us,
Yeah.
So we stuffed them in the cabin, and the community is such, when you can just walk in and you're like, no one's going to steal my stuff.
Yeah.
Like no people in there, just stuff everywhere. And you're just like, oh, this is so sweet. Just like, I don't know. Here's my jacket. I'll come back and get it,
Yeah.
So it felt nice. But I know that there's tracks.
Oh, yes.
And then there's not tracks. I remember that because we were mainly on the tracks.
Right. So I didn't mention the kind of grooming situation. Teacup is regularly groomed. And so they have these machine set tracks that your skis just slot into and, keep you going forward, hopefully.
Found it very useful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very useful. Great place to learn and also just to experience a really lively cross-country scene. If you are not as into crowds or you want to tackle some ungroomed snow, there's another snow park called Pocket Creek that's just a couple miles from Teacup Lake on Highway 35. And there you'll find some ungroomed trails. So you get to push through, powder. And if you're up for a slightly longer day, the trails at Pocket Creek connect to Teacup. So you can get a little,
Oh, that's so cool.
You can get like a little combo platter of your ungroomed trails and then your nice set tracks. So yeah, that's a fun way to get a taste of both styles.
I know you also recommended skiing in Southwest Washington, which I understand you were just there last weekend. Like, what's so great about it?
Yeah.
Is it something you graduate to, or you go to another state?
Yeah. You earn your badge and you cross the Columbia River. No, I really love skiing in Southwest Washington. You get some volcano variety. Now you're around Mount St. Helens, Mount Adams. This is the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest. There are more than a dozen snow parks in there. You're often looking at a less manicured situation than you might be at Teacup. There's some grooming that happens, but you might be breaking trail. You might also be sharing trails with snowmobiles, which isn't my favorite, but a number of these snow parks do have non-motorized trails. So, look out for those.
Do they also have tracks?
Some of them. Grooming can vary. Sometimes it's tracks. Sometimes it's that, the snow has been packed down. So it's an easier surface. Two of my favorite things about skiing up in the Gifford-Pinchot, there's this incredible ice cave, Gouler Ice Cave, which you can access at different times of year. You don't have to reach it on cross-country skis, but you can do a little loop from Atchison Snow Park and you ski up to this cave. You unclip from your skis because you definitely don't want to try to wear your skis into an ice cave. And you walk carefully down this ice-covered staircase into this ice cave. And you're like looking up at these icicles hanging down. And then there are the ponderosa pines stretching skyward. It's this incredible kind of study in verticals. It's just very, very cool. And another thing I love about this area is that there are a few Forest Service cabins you can rent. So this is what I was doing just this last weekend. A few friends and I rented a sweet little Forest Service cabin. It was built in 1909. Tiny little charming thing. And we had this weekend in the snow. So I'm a fan of those Forest Service rentals.
Well, that sounds lovely. I just looked it up, and you definitely don't want to go into this, using your skis, going into that ice cave. There's like steps down and all that. So you'll probably want some backup shoes, I suppose. I don't know what you would.
Yeah. I mean, I just walked a few steps down very carefully
Okay.
in my ski boots. You could go deeper into the cave. I decided it wasn't worth it. And that
Yeah. I was just like, I was like looking at it. I'm like, I just don't want someone to die. Okay.
No.
A little bit further away, but in our state, I heard that you also called out Central Oregon for having some wonderful cross-country skiing. Like what specific trails do you recommend out there?
Yeah. So Central Oregon, I mean, it's a great place to be a skier of any type. Obviously, it's known for its downhill skiing, but same goes cross-country skiing. On the other side of the Cascades, you've got more sunshine than we do over here. You have like that nice, dry, fluffy snow. And 30 minutes from Bend, you've just got a whole string of snow parks lining Cascade Lakes Highway as it climbs up to Mount Bachelor. Yeah. So the biggest of these is one called Virginia Meissner, which I learned in the course of my research is named after a
Virginia Meissner.
Yeah, Virginia
She sounds
Meissner.
cool.
Yeah.
Shout out Virginia Meissner.
Totally. And also shout out to the snow park named after her, 47 kilometers of trails groomed daily, nonprofit run, big views of Broken Top and South Sister. So that's a great option. You've also got like a luxe full service setup at Bachelor, which has a Nordic center, groom trails, lessons, etc. But my number one tip, if you're going to be in the Bend area, this is what I did when I was there last winter. I called up a ski shop as I was headed down and I asked what was skiing well. Because they live there, they know in a way that endless internet research is not going to to give you the answers. So I recommend calling a Bend ski shop for some real-time intel.
That makes a lot of sense. Finally, your research, I think, led you to your ultimate spot for a ski vacation, which is the Methow Valley.
Yeah.
So where is this? What's this all about?
Yeah. The Methow Valley is this mythic place for cross-country skiers. It's way up, nestled in the foothills of the North Cascades in north central Washington. You're almost in Canada.
Wow. That's far up there.
It's far up there. Okay. It's 6.5 hours.
So is Rainier to the south of you at that point?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. You're really up there. It's a pretty extraordinary place. It's one of the largest networks of groomed cross-country ski trails in the country. And it's this place where like everybody's a cross-country skier. It feels really, really special and unusual to be in this place where Nordic is the norm, and everybody's on cross-country skis. So they've got 200 kilometers of trails, and it cuts across forests and farmland, both public and private land. They've got an app where you can watch like real-time grooming updates. So when they're out grooming the trails at 3 a.m., you could be like watching that dot on your screen.
Like a maniac.
Like a maniac. I, not me.
You're not me. Not me. I'm Rebecca and I'm very normal.
But just like, it's just such a huge variety of trails. So you can find just about anything you're looking for. And there's also a fun set of towns up there. There's the town of Winthrop. So it's this like Old West themed town with these, wooden sidewalks and these Western facades, but also the kind of place when my friend and I were there last year, we were at an open mic night at the local brewery and we got handed tambourines and suddenly we're part of the band. So Winthrop is a really sweet little town. There's another town, Mazama, which has this super lovely general store. And so you can ski if you want all the way from Winthrop to Mazama. So you can ski from town to town. And then you get to Mazama, you get your après-ski cappuccino. They're baking baguettes. You've got like delicious trail snacks. So it's just a really lovely little town. And then rounding out the trio is Twisp, which is fun to say. And
I think it's a chocolate bar.
Oh, like Twix? Oh, Twisp? Oh.
No. Yeah, I think like from England. We don't, continue. Sorry, continue. This is what I do. I just pull somebody. But go on. Tell me about Twisp.
Yeah, Twisp, the highlight when my friend and I were there, we were like dancing earlier in the night to some country western band. And then there was also a drag show happening at the
Oh,
Grange
nice.
in Twisp. So I learned that North Central Washington has a drag scene, and we kind of peered in the doors.
Oh, that's so
later,
cool.
Later in the night.
I could just imagine you just guys out there with your skis, just being like, hello.
We were off our skis by
Okay.
that point. But yeah, there are a lot of places in the Methow Valley where you can pretty much walk out your door and get onto ski trails. So if you want to devote a full weekend, long weekend to cross-country skiing, the Methow is absolutely worth the haul.
Nice. And it's Wispa, by the way, the English bar that I was talking about. It's not Twisp, it's Wispa.
Wispa.
Kinda close. Wispa.
Yeah, yeah.
Are there any other places? Because I hear that Portland actually occasionally in our city, we might have some decent cross-country skiing. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a perk of the poor plowing in our city is that when it snows.
I literally had just like taken a sip of tea. I'm like, you're like, because of our shitty road maintenance in the winter.
Yup.
Okay, go on.
A reason to be grateful. When it snows in this city and the streets don't get plowed, they become cross-country ski trails. And there's a tradition called the Stumptown Birkebeiner. It's happened since 2008. It's a reference to, ski races that have happened for generations and generations in Scandinavia and then in Wisconsin, Minnesota. We need to fact check me on that. Anyway, since 2008.
Yeah.
Since 2008, when there's enough snow to ski in Portland, skiers will gather at Powell's on West Burnside at, I think, 10 a.m. and they'll take off on a very silly and very informal race through the streets of Northwest Portland. I have yet to participate. I have done a little bit of urban skiing, gone around Laurelhurst Park and my neighborhood, which is very sweet. But yeah, I'm hoping there's enough snow this winter that I get to participate in the Birkebeiner.
They call it the Stumptown Berkey, which is very cute.
And I mean, even Dylan T. Pickle, mascot for the Portland Pickles.
Yes.
He participated a few years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's some really great. There's
Dylan's
some great video.
Yeah, he's everywhere.
He's
Dylan's
everywhere.
just everywhere.
I know. And he's a talented cross-country skier. And so there's footage of this,
what?
10-foot tall pickle.
In the
mascot?
Pearl. with the, oh my God. I mean, of course, but like, I can't imagine. Like, I'm just saying, if someone in a pickle suit can cross-country ski, I just feel like that should motivate people. If you're afraid of it,
Like I was saying, super accessible, human or pickle.
Yeah. Yeah. Last question though, real quick. How do you stop?
Stopping.
Yeah. I feel like we did.
You don't. You just keep going.
Keep going
you
forever.
Just keep.
Once you start skiing, that's what you do now. That's who you are.
Yeah. Just.
No, but how do you like, because here's the deal. When you're on the tracks.
Yeah.
When you stop, they're very like, there's etiquette that basically you can't screw up the tracks for the people behind you. So you can't be like, ah, you know what I mean? There's certain parts where they are open, and then that's when I would normally like go into a snowbank to stop. But how would you stop?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, directing yourself into a snowbank is one of my preferred methods.
This is not helping, really. Sorry. You're like, find yourself a soft tree.
Yeah.
A lot of branches.
A soft tree. No, I mean, I will sometimes, and I'll try to slow myself rather than just face first into a snowbank. But yeah, it is tricky. Like if you're in the tracks, it's really hard to stop when you're in the tracks. You can lift up one ski and kind of turn it at an angle. If you're able to get out of the tracks, that pizza pie technique,
never works for me, but yeah.
Never works for you.
I don't know, man.
Well, then I think maybe you just got to keep going for that snowbank.
Forever.
But I think you can practice the pizza pie.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
I think you can get the pizza pie.
So pizza pie. All right. Well, Rebecca, thank you so much for hanging out with me. And, I read your article.
Yeah.
It was super fun.
In the winter issue, currently.
Yeah. Check it out,
online.
the Portland Monthly winter issue. There'll be a lot more. There's so many more kilometers in there for you to like read about. So many kilometers. So, you know, if you're just like, there weren't enough kilometers in this chat, like go in there. She's going to tell you all about it. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Rebecca.
Yeah. Thanks so much for talking with me.
Well, that's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thanks so much for listening. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's.